guys, Fuzz here, and welcome back to our walkthrough for Final Fantasy VIII. And if you enjoy this episode, please remember to hit that like button. We finished off previously having just escaped from ourselves in this prison here that we found ourselves unfortunately in. And before we actually proceed further with the story, which means heading up and out, we're actually going to start heading down and collecting some optional items, which we would like to get. Some of them are actually quite rare. So we are beginning here at the save point, which is exactly where we left off previously on floor 6. And as you can see, there's a barrier here which blocks our way to the next floor down. This is going to be a common theme on the floors as we proceed now. So we're going to have to go all the way around, and there's going to be 2 doors on each floor, each leading to a separate cell. And I will tell you which ones contain items or other interesting bits that you might want to look at, and which ones don't. So for example, here on floor 6, neither of those doors actually contain anything at all, so we're going to skip them as we make our way to floor 5. And this door here, nothing. However, this second door, by the way, if you don't have encounter none active, you're going to be facing enemy encounters, just bear that in mind. Has a card player, although this card player does charge 500 gil, but if you want to play some cards, then by all means be my guest. Although there's going to be a more important card player a little bit later in this dungeon or prison thing, whatever you want to call it. So going down to floor 4 now. And in the left, or the first cell here, there's an item for us to grab. A tent. And nothing in the right hand door, so we're going to head all the way around now to the next floor. And the stuff on all the other floors going down now, so on floor 3 here, there's nothing in that first door, but in the second door, there is a pet house. How exciting. And all the way around, of course, to floor number 2. And in floor 2, we have an item here in the first door. And I actually highly recommend you do come all the way down to floor 2 just for this item. The reason being the pet name tag. There's only 2 of these you can collect in the entire game, outside of Chocobo World anyway. And if you miss this one, then there's only one, obviously, and even that other one you can miss. So I recommend you do get that. And in the second door here, there's another item. Strength up. And we make our way around to floor number 1. Of which there's no barrier this time, but nothing really exciting down there, but we'll have a look. So in here, there's a save point. But that's a hidden save point, so if you don't have Move Find equipped, then you won't see it, sadly. And then in the second door here, there's a magazine, the Combat King number 1 for Limit Break. And that's it. That's all the optional items we can collect by going below floor 7. But just to show you down here, there's nothing really. You can't actually go anywhere. But now we need to head back up to floor 7, which is where we started, and then we'll start making our way up, and I'll once again show you from floor 7 which doors you want to go into and which you don't. Okay, here we are back on floor 7, and there's nothing to see in the doors here. This was our starting location, if you remember. By the way, if you're playing the Steam version and you have Final Fantasy VIII as your active window, you can hit F1 if you want to just like speed things up as you're running around and stuff. And it's also useful for farming, depending on whether or not you consider that to be appropriate. But the option's there if you want to use it. So here we are up on floor 8, and again, no barrier. This is the final floor without a barrier. If we head into the first door here, there's a man, and we just speak to him normally. He tells us that he's from Balham Garden. And basically he's a shop with pretty much the standard stuff that we've come to expect by now. But by all means you can purchase stuff from him. The tents are usually quite useful. I've run out of high potions, so we'll buy a few of those. Let's go for 20. And I've only got 2 Phoenix down, so we'll stock up on those also. I think about 18 will be a nice amount. And that'll do nicely, I think. We'll buy fuel as well. We are going to need one soon. But that's all there is to see on floor number 8. Floor number 9, we have a trusty barrier, as we are going to have now for the rest of the floors. And if we head into here, we'll find a draw point for Berserk. $15, by the way, is the maximum amount of magic you can draw from a single draw point. So if it's a highly trusted or highly desired magic, then you might want to save before doing so. I don't know why I went this way. Before drawing from it. So if you don't quite get a high number, you can always come back to it. Floor 10. Over here in the right hand cell we have another NPC, and this guy will play cards with us, although he will want to charge us. I think it's 300 gil, so just bear that in mind. If you beat him once, you get... Actually, we are going to play, because if we beat him once, we get the character report, I've just realised, which upgrades our original battle meter from the menu. So we'll go ahead and play him. One thing I should mention, by the way, just before you play that guy, is if you just head over into the next room on the left from him, it's a save point. So you might want to save that just in case your rules get screwed up, or if whatever happens, you might lose your cards. So just save before doing any card battling, as usual, of course. Okay, so that's that guy beat. And now we have even more detailed records for our battle meter, which is always good, of course. If you don't have the battle meter, by the way, if you didn't speak to Sid earlier in the garden to get it off him, as I told you to, then you won't actually be able to get that upgrade, so just bear that in mind. Right then, so first thing we're going to do actually is save our game again, because there's another card battler upstairs here. And this one we can actually do a little trick with him, but it's up to you whether you do so or not, because it doesn't always work. It's a bit frustrating. If we head up and around as quickly as possible, you do need the encounter non-active to make this work. And in fact, I think you might need to hard reset your game before you actually do this after saving. But basically, there's a card guy in here. He charges 200 gil. But what you want to do is, when you get to this screen saying if you want to play or not, then you basically want to choose no. But you want to choose no. I think it's 48 times. Let me just check that for you. Okay, so it's actually 54 times you need to do that. But if you do it 54 times, challenge him, cancel, 54 times then play him and win, there's a chance you'll get a Rosetta Stone, which is used in endgame to get the ability times 4 ability, which is very, very useful. Now, you can get Rosetta Stones later on, but some people find it a lot easier to get them now. Personally, I'm just useless at challenging this guy and cancelling 54 times. I usually end up playing him by mistake, and I'll just get too frustrated to do it, but the option's there if you want to. By the way, you can play him once and refuse 64 times, and then play him for a chance at getting the HP up item. It's just a way pretty much of messing around with the RNG, and that's usually the way to get it into your favour. Although it's never been proven with certainty, but you know, the option's there. One thing I did forget to say about floor 11 is if you have move find available, then you can head into the right hand one here for a Thundergar draw point. But that's pretty much all the exciting stuff to be found in this prison. If we head up to floor 12 here, there's actually no other items to collect, which means we can start making our way up to the top of this place. And here we have the torture room, which you may remember from earlier on. And look who it is. It's Squall just chilling with his new friends. Okay, so we can remove the barriers here, but it's not really that important. Although you might want to remove it to floor 9, actually. But you can choose the others. Okay, so at the moment we're just with Squall here, so we need to speak to our party members. You can tell the parts of the game that haven't been upscaled due to the high-res mods that I'm using, and it really does show you what a difference these mods actually make, because some of these other areas are so pixelated. Although interestingly, Final Fantasy VIII was a big step up in graphics, I thought, from Final Fantasy VII back in the day, and both were released on the PlayStation. Okay, so when Zal asks us to do that, we'll head up to the panel and do as we're told. How strange, we're at the very top of the structure and yet we're underground. Okay, so all we need to do here with Zal is to begin running away from the guards. You're not going to run away from them all, you are going to enter probably a few battles, but fortunately these guys are very simple to defeat. So Zal should be able to one-shot them. Just bonked him on the head with the handle of his gunblade, that's funny. So we got away with just one battle with Zal, that was alright. And here's Irvine. We haven't seen him for a while. There's never any rest for us, is there? Okay, so we need to stick somebody in the party here with Squall. I'm going to go for Quistis. On floor 9 here, make sure you have your junctions equipped. Remember, floor 9 is the floor I told you to remove the barrier from. It's the only one that really mattered. It didn't even matter that much, but at least it's gone now. So just sort your junctions out and then we'll be ready to proceed. And with junctions sorted, we're going to be swapping them around by the way later, but we're just going to head up to floor 10. Again, encounter none is certainly useful at this point. Looks like he's still chilling, that guy. Yeah, don't forget on floor 10 there is a save point if you want to use that. Although it's hidden, if I remember. Yeah, it's a hidden one, so you will need move find in order to access it. Okay, so now we're with Irvine and the team. Very quickly, we can just switch junctions from our old party to our new. You know, you might not be using, what's it called? Encounter none, which is why you just want to do that. But anyway, we're going to start heading down all the way to floor 3. Okay, so here I am, floor 3. And that will trigger a change really to Squall and the like. And we're going to go and speak to these guys. If you speak to this one here, you get a cottage. And this fella here gives you a rename card. Once again, don't forget to switch your junctions over. And we're ready to rock. Don't know why I said that. I've never said that before in my life. Anyway, we're going to start going up here. And there's a save point, although if you don't have move find equipped, once again you won't see it. I don't know why they hide save points with move find. Seems a bit mean, to be honest. And make sure you have lightning abilities equipped to your elemental attack. I mean, Squall doesn't have any, but his strength is so high anyway, I don't think it matters too much. And also, you might want to throw Mug on. Mug is always useful. Actually, nothing to do here. Nope, just start heading up again. And we can actually start making our way outside now. Right, so the elite soldier we can just kill, but we really do want to try and mug a missile from one of these guys, since it will allow us to teach Quistis a new limit break. There we go, we only need the one though. can see these guys actually hit quite hard, so just bear that in mind as you're fighting them. And now we get even more scenes. And now we can run out onto this bridge here. And have a look at the desert landscape. And this place certainly does look interesting, I'll give them that. And it looks like things aren't going too well for Squall here. Now it's very, very, very important that you hold the right direction down on your keyboard or joypad so that Squall moves across. If you don't do this, then you will actually get a game over at this point, which is pretty darn harsh if you ask me. But just keep holding that right key down and you'll be sorted. And it looks like we managed to escape. And at this point we're going to be splitting our party into two. Well, we will be anyway soon. But first let's get out of this hellhole. Okay, so once you've got control of Squall, you can grab the arrow, draw a point if you want to. And then we need to speak to Selfie. We need to speak to her twice, in fact. Uh-oh, there goes the missiles. And then we need to speak to Selfie again. Okay, so I recommend you stick to Cell with Squall because it means you can pick up a Mega Phoenix, which you can't do otherwise. And then whoever else you want, really, I'm going to select Quistis at this point. Let's go with that. And it's time to say goodbye to one another because we're splitting up now for a little while. All we have to do with Squall is board the train. I was just hoping to see if we could save somewhere, but I guess not. He was on the train a second ago. I think he got off to have a wee or something in the bush. Probably going to get in trouble for that. Right then, so we're going to finish off here today, folks, now that we're back in control of the Selfish team at the world map. And we're going to be doing some optional stuff before we proceed to the missile base. Even though the game tells us that it's an absolute emergency, the game will hold off for us so we can get some more character progression in. So thanks for joining me. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel and like the video if you've enjoyed it. And I'll see you next time as we continue on with Final Fantasy VIII.